Hi, I'm Steve Skelton, and I am owner of Blackleaf Guardians. Today I want to talk to you about bonding your dogs to sheep or cattle or any kind of livestock. We're finding in a lot of we do some rescues of dogs from the area. A lot of people will, and in their innocence they don't know, but they'll say, well, these dogs are bonded to, and they're not bonded to anything. What we're finding is they're bonded to a barn or a corral or something like that. And a lot of people don't have a choice in that because they have a very small acreage, and that's what they have. But true bonded LGD dogs will go out on the range and stay with their charges no matter what. And we have that luxury because we have a 9,000 acre ranch, and we can put our dogs out there for, their whole life, and they stay out there. They live with the sheep or the cows or whatever we bonded them with, and that's their whole life. And they don't come into the buildings except lambing or calving time, and other than that, they're out there living on the range. And so to do this, you have to introduce your pups slowly, carefully. You have to have a lot of method and mythology of a game plan, because dogs are very resilient. Especially at weaning time, they want to be by their mothers, and they don't want to be out with the sheep. And so you either have to have like we have sheep wired, what we call night paddocks, and we put the sheep in. And we'll take like 12-week-old pups, and we'll put them out with these sheep, and they'll stay there in that paddock for 2 to 3 weeks. And we know they're bonded when they start sniffing or greeting their sheep when we bring them in at night, because during the day they're locked in there by themselves without any sheep around. And after a while, you'll start seeing the bond happening where they get real interested in those sheep. And like when you open the gate, instead of running off, they'll actually run to the sheep and then run back into the pen with the sheep, sniffing, smelling, doing whatever. Same with cattle. Cattle are a little harder kind of a deal because you really don't have night pens to put cows in. So what we recommend doing is taking and setting up like a 30 by 30 hog panel pen. Your dogs generally probably need to be a little older for this, probably 3 to 4 months, and put the dogs in the pen. And then I really like bonding them in the wintertime, if you can, instead of summertime. That way you can take like your herd of replacement heifers or your cows and feed them right next to that pen, like right on it. And so those cows have to come in and look at those dogs, and the dogs can sniff and lick through the pen and get to know their cows. And it works brilliant. You'll see a radical change in the dogs. They'll start like going to the fence and wanting to be by those cows, and you'll see a settling of the cattle. As most of you know that have livestock, if you walk through a pen at calving time of cows with a border collie on your heels, all hell breaks loose. Totally opposite with an LGD. If you walk out and an LGD is present, usually the cows, if they've been bonded to them, are very settled and calm because they know that the dog is there for protection and there's no issues. These dogs also have a very different demeanor to them. They have a calming effect on their flock or their herds. We had, first time I was really around one of our LGDs that did anything with a cow, we had a cow that calved really late in June, and Mufasa, our old Boz stud dog, laid about 30-40 feet away from that cow with a brand new calf. I've never seen that in my life, because normally the cow would have run him off, stomped him, killed him, kicked him, whatever. They don't put up with that nonsense. But because he had such a calm demeanor, he settled her, and she was happy to have him there guarding her and her calf. At any rate, getting back to bonding, we have to be very careful as breeders on how we represent dogs. If you say they're bonded, they should really be bonded. And that means if I buy a dog from you and you say it's bonded, that means that I should be able to take the dog out and introduce it to my sheep, and it should want to stay with those sheep, not be here at the house. And we see a lot of what I call porch princesses being raised nowadays, because people don't understand this concept. Just because your dog hangs out in the barn with your 3 sheep and 1 goose doesn't mean they're bonded to that. Sometimes they're just bonded to the property and to you, which is fine. Like I said, not everybody has a 9,000 acre ranch, but we have to be very careful on how they're represented. The bonding process that we go through, we try to do as much out on the range as we can. In the summer months, we have dog houses, and we're going to start whelping right out on the range. And that way those pups can be with their cows or their sheep from day one. So far, we've been whelping here at the ranch, and then we take the pups out and we bond them as we go along. Sometimes that causes problems. You get dogs like a Kangal that are the most determined dogs in the world, and you go through the weaning process, and if the mother is not out there with them, sometimes that can just lead to a whole host of issues that can really try you sometimes. And like I tell everybody, a Kangal is a very high-end dog that's an acquired taste that not everybody is really ready for. That way I like to steer them more towards a Boz if they need that kind of a dog. They're just as aggressive on predators, but they're a little more laid back, and they're a little easier to handle that way. Any rate, I just wanted to bring this forward to you all today. We're going to do some videos on puppy training here in the next few days, so be on the lookout for that, and I'll kind of walk you through it as we're training out there so you can actually see what we do. And just want everybody to be successful with their LGDs and have a great life with these wonderful dogs. God bless.